some of these moments that we make such a big deal are not that important. It's the things surrounding what we're able to do as individuals that we're going to remember the most. My name is Brian Pannuzzo. I help successful professionals build an elite body and mind without sacrificing work or time with their family. I know your life because I lived it for 20 years. Welcome back to the show. My name is Brian Pannuzzo. I am the host of the Success Lift podcast, and that is what you are listening to right now, and I can't thank you enough. I hope you are having a great October. October is a very controversial month. Some people love it because they love Halloween. I think Halloween is the worst holiday on the calendar. My case against Halloween will likely be stated in a couple of weeks. It's also the birthday of two of my favorite people in the world. My dad, his birthday is this week, or I guess at the time of this recording, it was over the weekend, as I'm now looking at my calendar. And also my most favorite human in the world, my beautiful wife, Tasha, turned 50 last week. I mean, have you seen this woman? She does not look like a 50-year-old. She has aged like the finest of wines. So shout out to my wife, Tasha. That is not what this podcast is about, but since I didn't mention it last week, leading up to the birthday weeks of my dad and my beautiful wife, happy birthday to both of them. Love you both. Hope you had an amazing day. I made sure of it for my wife, or at least I hope I did. I'll see my dad soon, hoping to be home back in New Jersey in the next couple of weeks. I got to figure some stuff out. I want to do a little quick trip back to see a lot of my clients. I have probably 26 or 27 of my clients back on the East Coast, maybe more at this point. Now have over 55 one-on-one clients inside of my coaching business, my one-on-one coaching business. And one of the teams that I've been working with inside of corporate America is located in New York City. So lots and lots of reasons for me to always get back to New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Long Island, Philadelphia, and see as many people as I can. So I hope that happens soon if you're listening to this. I want to talk this week about a message that I heard from my son's baseball coach over last weekend. My son and I were in Arizona, and we were at a baseball tournament, and I usually don't talk too much to the coaches because I just don't want to be one of those parents who are in the coach's mix trying to lobby for my son's playing time. My son typically lets his performance do the talking, for better or worse, to be fair. And we just happened to be standing around my son's coach after one of the games, their first game of the weekend, which was a tough loss. My son Hudson pitched in the game. He didn't pitch great. He hasn't been pitching that well over the last couple of months. He hasn't been pitching that much, which is a different story and probably another topic for maybe an email. If you're not getting my daily email to your inbox that's delivered at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can go to the Success Lift /join, successlift.com/join. We'll have a link. We always do, I believe, in the show notes. If you enjoy this content, which is a little bit more what they call longer form, I talk for 20, 30 minutes at a time, and you only have 30 seconds, 90 seconds during your day to maybe pay attention to somebody like me, my email is a great place to do it. So make sure you check that out. I get the most amount of feedback from people with this platform, my podcast, my weekly podcast that drops every single Monday. If you're new here, welcome. If you are an OG who's listened to over 280-ish episodes now, this might be 280, might be 281, I'm not sure. I never remember before I hit record. I probably should, because it would make sense for me to know. But when you do something for 6 years straight and you just do it, you sometimes lose track. And isn't that one of the best ways for us to achieve massive amounts of success in any area of our life? Speaking of streaks, I'm going around a little bit on a tangent here. This is not even what the podcast is about. I just crossed, I'm going to check it now as I am talking. I am at 360 days. So by the time this podcast drops Monday morning, October 13th, I will have crossed 1 year. It might even actually be, because it's the 8th today. Yeah, it's going to be the shout out to me. Shout out to me right now, Monday morning, when this podcast drops, speaking into the future for tracking my nutrition on an app called MyFitnessPal, which is a very popular food tracking app. It's where I track my food on a daily basis. It's where all of my clients who work with me intimately track their food, because data is very important. And if we don't know our numbers, like in the office, we can't make good decisions. And if we're just winging it and throwing shit up against the wall, we get shit for results. Hence the shit up against the wall. You're still left with shit, even if it sticks. By the way, that is the dumbest analogy or the dumbest saying ever. Who would ever want to throw shit up against the wall? And so last year at this time, I had just come off an amazing weekend with some of my best friends in the world in South Carolina on a golf trip. And I had just broke a 400-ish, I want to call it closer to 450 day streak of tracking my food on a daily basis in this app. And what happened is I overconsumed alcohol, and I got so drunk that I forgot to put my food in the app. And I probably could have went back and put the pieces together, but it was a pretty disingenuous, because I definitely didn't mean to track on a daily basis, meaning like I didn't like just say I was going to not do it. I just got so drunk that I forgot. And when I tried to put the pieces back together, I thought, I'm not really sure if I even know what I ate. And you know what? I actually didn't do it. And so why not be accountable to myself here and just say that my 450-ish day streak had come to an end? And that annoyed the hell out of me, because I didn't plan to. Usually the times in the past when I track my food, I have strategically decided to not track a particular day. And that day, that Monday morning, I believe it was a Monday morning, I decided that I was going to get right back on the horse, right? Back in the olden days, when we used to ride horses for transportation, I would imagine, none of us were alive then, but I would imagine if we were, and we were riding that horse, I think every once in a while, somebody probably fell off the horse. Hence the phrase, I fell off the horse. I fell off the wagon, right? What do you think people do back then when they fall off their horse, when they fall off their wagon? Do you think they just sat around in the dirt, just sort of kicking themselves, telling themselves that they ain't shit, telling themselves, here we did it again, this stinks, this horse thing's really not for me? Or do you think they just simply got up and got back on that method of transportation and continued forward, maybe a little battered, a little bruised, a little upset, a little mad at themselves, but they got back up and they got back to it? And that is one of the many things that people don't do. They don't get right back to it. And so I decided to get right back to it, because what else can you do except control right now, control today? And I did that every single day for the last 365. So it is officially, as of Monday morning, October 13th, 2025, a 1-year anniversary of me tracking my nutrition on a daily basis. Brian, why do you track your nutrition? Well, let me tell you why, because I don't even know if you just asked, but it's my show, and I'm going to make it up that you just wondered that. I do it for a number of reasons. Like I said, data is very important, and I want to know data so that I can make the appropriate decisions. Even though I'm at a particular level, maybe in my health and fitness, that you may not be, I go through mini seasons. I go through maybe a brief cutting phase before I go on a vacation so I can look my best. Then I mostly at this point am living in maintenance, but I've also gone through muscle building, surplus, bulk phases, as they call it. And if you don't know what you're doing during that phase, you're not going to get the results that you want. And so I decided to get back to it. It creates results in my life. I have so much evidence to support that it does create the results. And so why wouldn't I continue to do so? That is one reason. It works. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. If it ain't fix it, don't broke. That phrase is, I don't like that phrase either. I mean, all these phrases are silly that we use as human beings in the English language. The other reason that I track is to be an example. I have 55-ish people. I think it's 55. Let me look. I have 56 people inside of my program that look to me for guidance. And by the way, I'm not even talking about some of the groups that I work with. I have 56 people that look to me for guidance. I ask them to do certain things. As I said, I believe last week or maybe the week before, I am not willing to hire someone who does not have the results, or at least is not way further down the path than me looking for the results that they have. And so I am not going to hire a broke business coach. I'm not going to hire a fat health and fitness coach. I'm not going to hire a dysfunctional person in a dysfunctional relationship for marriage advice. I want someone who's proven that what they're doing works. And so I prove to my clients on a daily and weekly basis. I am the example for them to follow. I am the leader inside of my program. I follow plenty of people, but the people who hire me for particular reasons. One of them is to help lead them get the results that they want. So if I'm going to ask you to do something, you better damn be sure that I am going to do it too. And if I'm not doing it currently, it's because of a particular reason. Maybe I'm in a season of my life that you're not. And what you're doing is more appropriate for you, and what I'm doing is more appropriate for me, because we are all individuals, and you get very customized attention and advice in my programming. You get customized programming for you, the busy professional. And so I do it so that when you tell me that you had a tough weekend because you went to a party, or you went away, or you had a client dinner, or you had a business trip, or there was past hors d'oeuvres or a buffet and you just didn't know, or you went out to a group dinner and it was shared plates and family style, and you say, I didn't track because it was too hard. I just look at you, nod my head and say, cool story, bro. Now I have some ladies that I work with, so I call them bro too, because I've been in all of those situations. And there's ways that we can do it, and you do your best. And if you don't know, you just kind of estimate and you move on and you keep pushing forward, but you don't allow little things to disrupt your momentum, because it's sacred. And if you desire to be somewhere in your life, you'll do it. You'll push through the resistance. So shout out to me, 1 year strong. I'm not stopping. I'm continuing to go. I'll probably go, I don't know, maybe 1,000 days or so. Why not? Why wouldn't I do that? And if I decide not to, it's going to be for a damn good reason. So happy anniversary to me. Happy birthday to my wife. Happy birthday to my dad. Happy anniversary to my parents, who got married on my dad's birthday. That was also over the weekend. That is not even the remotely topic. That's not the topic about this conversation. That's not the topic about this week's podcast. What I wanted to talk to you about was my son and a message that his coach delivered after a game that they should have won. They didn't. They didn't play well. My son didn't perform that well. And it struck me after he said it, because I really started to think about it. We were outside. We were just loading up of course we were outside. We were at a baseball game. We were outside by the cars, outside the field. We were just loading up the car. And it was only one game that day. And oftentimes in these tournaments, sometimes you play one game, sometimes you play two. Sometimes you don't know how many you're going to play because you play until you lose, type of thing. And so this was the first day of the tournament. We had more time there. We had the whole weekend. Sometimes there's a decent amount of downtime in these tournaments when you travel and go away. And as he was saying goodbye to a couple of parents that were talking and kids that were talking, he looked at all of us and he said, don't worry, we'll come back strong tomorrow. We're going to play well tomorrow. But just remember, everybody, we're on vacation. We're on vacation. Remember that we're on vacation. All right. And I looked at him kind of funny, because like these baseball coaches are intense. They care. They like really care. He happens to have a son on the team. It's his youngest son, and his 3 or 4 or so older boys. I'm not 100% sure, but his other kids are out of the house. His other kids are older. All right. Remember, this was a tough loss. Baseball is played in Southern California and in the West Coast. I'm not saying it's not on the East Coast, but at a pretty high level. People take their baseball serious out here. Now, my son, for context, is 16 years old. He's a sophomore in high school. This is probably about the time that you're supposed to take baseball serious. But people have been taking baseball serious for the last 6 years I've been here at 8U, 9U, 10U tournaments. Parents, you guys are freaking nuts. You're nuts. Sometimes the coaches are just as nuts. And so Oftentimes, I see people get way too serious, way too excited about a result of a particular game or a tournament. We all know those parents who are just like hovering around, helicoptering, coaching their kids in the on-deck circle, like walking up and down the basketball sideline, walking up and down the lacrosse field, the soccer field, trying to give their kids pointers in the middle of the game. If you do that, will you sit down and shut up? Actually, don't sit down, pace around, get some steps in, put some headphones in, just watch your kid. Maybe don't put the headphones in if you want to actually hear what's going on, but you can root for your kid. If you have an outdoor sporting event, your ass should be moving. You should be shutting up unless you're saying positive things to your kids. You shouldn't be sitting, and you damn sure shouldn't be coaching. Nor should you be saying anything to them right after the game about their performance, unless they want to talk about it. Okay? And so people take baseball serious out here, all right? And this coach definitely wants to win. Of course he does. We came back and won the next 2 games the next day. But he has perspective. He has perspective that maybe some parents don't. And that's what I want to remind all my parents here that have young kids. And this message isn't just for parents of young kids, right? This message is for everyone, because there is a lesson that you can take from this for all of us, all right? As I said, his older boys are all out of school. They're all out of high school. They're on to college. They're all becoming adults. His sophomore in high school is the last one in the house. All right. So he knows it's all coming to an end. It's coming to an end soon for him. And that's what I want to remind all of us here, is that your kid's sports career, whether they're 6 right now, 2, 14, 21 playing professionally, 18, 19, 20 playing in college, whatever it is, your kid's sports career will come to an end. That is a fact. That is a fact. Your kid's sports career will come to an end. What you will want back when that career is over, when you are done watching them run up and down the field, hit the baseball, throw the baseball, shoot the basketball, whatever it may be, you'll want the things that we do while we're on those trips. The post-game dinners, watching them putz around in the pool, having them run around the hotels like dummies, yelling at them that they shouldn't, knock on people's doors and then run away, yelling at them for getting in trouble by the hotel staff. You'll want those road trip hangs in the lobbies, having a couple drinks with the other parents, right? You'll want the dinners that you go to. You'll want the trip out there, the trip back. You want all the carpooling that you do, the time that you get, the precious time that you get to spend with them in the car, the music that's playing. You'll want all of this back. It was a good reminder for me, because Hudson and I were the only ones on this trip. It was a good reminder for me to soak up some of that time, because I believe deep down in my heart that I'm going to watch my son play baseball for a long time. My son has very big goals to play baseball for a long time. College, professional. Now, much of that is unknown, and we don't know. Maybe he won't be good enough. Maybe he won't want to anymore at some point. I don't know. His career will either end because he chooses it to, or it'll end because he won't be good enough. And I guarantee you, the same thing is going to happen for your child. And I also know that for many people, it's going to happen way sooner than you expect. Many kids from the age of 12 to 14 or 15 just decide to drop like that. Most parents don't see it coming. I didn't have the knowledge because this Hudson is my oldest son, and I wasn't that aware of this, but I've gotten to see this. Remember, I've been where you want to be maybe in some areas of your life. Maybe that's fitness and nutrition or mindset or marriage or structure and routines and habits and discipline or whatever. But I also have a 16-year-old who's playing fairly high-level sports. And I see the dysfunction in youth sports, and it's troubling. I have the comfort to know that he's likely going to continue on, but maybe he won't. Maybe he won't. God willing, I'll be watching sports for a long time to come. but it will end. I know these weekends that we have like this are crazy. I know you're spending all weekend on lacrosse fields, soccer fields, hockey rinks, baseball fields, basketball courts, you name it. I get it. I get it. I know that you're busy. I know that you're competitive. I know that part of your self-worth, this is where you're going to be like, really? Part of your self-worth is tied up in your kid's performance. If you can detach that, now realize I'm giving you advice. It's hard for me to do this. It's hard for me to detach my worth as a human being and a parent from my son's performance. When my son doesn't perform well, I feel differently about myself. It's important to recognize that. It's okay to feel that way. It's not okay to then take the next steps that most parents take, because nobody is evaluating you as an individual based on how your son or your daughter performs. And oftentimes that is the origin, in my opinion, of people, quite frankly, just acting like idiots. So the coach's message to remind us that we were on vacation really hit me. And we happened to be staying at a nice resort outside of Phoenix, Arizona, that had one of them was closed, but had 2 different golf courses, and it had a decent enough range and a putting green and a short game area. And my son's really starting to get into golf. Really loves golf. And so that afternoon, it was already scheduled, but that afternoon we played 9 holes with another father and son that we're close with. Now, we were going to do that anyway, but I soaked that 9 holes up way more than I would have with that message in my head. And then the next morning, or the next afternoon, actually, after 2 games that he played, we were able to go out to the driving range, and we were able to hit some balls for an hour. I soaked that time up. I didn't hit many balls. I just watched him, helped him a little bit. I'm an okay golfer. He's just kind of starting out, so I certainly can give him some advice. I'm qualified to give my son advice. Maybe not others, but I'm qualified to give my son advice. So I would hit 1 or 2 shots, then I would just stand there for 5 or 6 minutes. He was just ripping balls. I would show him something. I would give him a little pointer. I'd take a little video of him. We would look at it together. We went to breakfast together every morning. We went to dinner with other families. The next day, Sunday, the day that we were leaving, he was scheduled to pitch. So we weren't going to, I wasn't going to let him hack away at golf balls on the driving range before, because we had some time, but we took about 30 minutes. We walked out to the short game area, and we were working on our short game together, and I was showing him some different shots, and I'd hit like 3 or 4 great shots, and I would hit a terrible one. And we'd kind of laugh that I was like trying to show him something, and then I would completely screw it up. And we had this awesome series of moments during the weekend that had absolutely nothing to do with baseball, but I know it had something to do with how he valued the weekend. Because if we just made it about his performance, the weekend would have been a total failure, because he didn't pitch up to his standard. His standard is very high, and he didn't pitch great. But on the way home, he talked about how much fun the weekend was. He also talked about how he was disappointed in his performance, and we talked about some things that we could work on, because he brought it up, not me. Not me. When you do that enough, you earn the credibility of your kid to then come to you and ask you, what did you see? What can I do better? What do you think about this? When you're constantly jumping on top of them to coach them after the game, they don't want to hear it. And so when you really actually do have something valuable to share with them, they discount it. And so I just want you to remember that you're, in air quotes, on vacation. Sometimes literally you're on vacation. Other times you have these moments. And that's what I want, and that's the message that I think you can take away if your kids are out of the house, or you don't have kids and you don't ever plan on having kids. Some of these moments that we make such a big deal are not that important. It's the things surrounding what we're able to do as individuals that we're going to remember the most. I use the analogy of working with executives all the time, and I tell them, if we're going to go cross country from New Jersey to go back home to New York City, or from LA, or vice versa, we would have a series of stops along the way. Some of those stops would be necessary because we'd have to get gas, we'd have to sleep over, we'd have to do some maintenance things, refuel, get food. But other stops may be experiential. We may be driving through the Grand Canyon. We may be driving through a college town during a football game in the fall. We might decide that it's worthwhile to detour off the path and to enjoy something along the way. Because what are we going to remember more when we get to New York City from LA? Are we going to remember the time that we showed up? Or are we going to remember the things that we did along the way? I drove cross country with high school friends of mine and my high school basketball coach in high school. I couldn't tell you even what, I was obviously the summer because we weren't in school, but I couldn't tell you anything about the trip other than the places that we stopped and some of the silly things that we did on the road. I don't know when it was. I don't know how long it took. I have no clue how long it took. But I remember some of the places that we went. I remember some of the things that we did. I remember some of the silly stuff that happened. I'm 47 years old. This is at like 15 years old, everybody. And so 32 years from now, what are you going to remember? I'm pretty sure I'm going to remember helping my son early in his golf career more than whether or not he struck guys out, didn't let up any runs, pitched well, didn't pitch well. I'm going to have no clue. That's not even going to be a remote recollection of mine. And so remember, it's going to end. And remember that you're on vacation, because I think it'll allow you to appreciate the moments that you have more, especially if we're talking about young kids. And if we're talking about vacation in the context of you taking a short break through whatever season of life that you're in. For the people that I work with that are going away for 2, 3, 4 nights, and they're in a fat loss phase, and they're meticulously tracking their food and doing the things that need to be done. We take short breaks from the intensity at which we operate. It doesn't mean you can't track on vacation. I do. But I'm certainly taking a break from the regimented approach that I have. I may not care about my protein target on a particular day. I may just have higher level principles of like, I'm just not going to go crazy on my calories. I'm going to manage that, but I'm not going to stress over my protein goal. So I still track things, but I'm on vacation, and I'm going to remember the vacation a whole lot more. If this message helped you, please end up sharing it with somebody. I know people with kids know people with kids. And so specifically, this was designed for people with young kids who are busy, who are stressed, who are constantly pulled in multiple directions, who want to be the best husband, father, mother they can be. But you're also a busy professional. You also have the stress and demands of the career that you have, and you want to try to do it all. And that's what I help people do. And so if this one helped you, share it with somebody else. I appreciate you. I'll see you back then.